Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Welcome everyone to the Bike Walk Commission meeting for October. It is Monday, October 6th, and the time is 6:03 p.m. And I will call this meeting to order. In attendance, we have myself, Nick Pappas, Becca Stoll, Greg Pacelli, and Tylene Bird. I see we also have members of the public joining us slowly but surely. So with that, I will open up to our first agenda item here, which is the opportunity for public comment. I see we have some new people joining us tonight. So if there is anyone that is interested in raising their hand to make a public comment or introduce themselves, if they have anything they would like to share tonight, please feel free to go ahead and do so now. Okay. Tori Havoc, I see you are joining us.
Hi, this is Kate Havoc. I'm under my
Oh.
husband Tori's account. Hello, Norwalk Bike Walk Commission and everyone.
Hi, Kate. I thought I recognized the last name. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I just wanted to highlight that Darien has been engaging with our local nonprofit, The Depot, to do e-bike, e-scooter, and scooter safety trainings for our middle school students. The first session was great. The second session was challenging, and the third session was fantastic. We're now going to roll it out to fourth and fifth graders. And I wanted to highlight this, one, because I think that the kids in our town really are thirsty for this knowledge. But two, I'd love to coordinate and collaborate with you all more to see how much more robust we can make this together. I've actually started an LLC called Ride On, and the whole point of this company is to give safe bike safety trainings to kids with the idea of fostering independence and freedom of movement for their mental health. So I just wanted to highlight this as something that's happening in Darien, and also that we are trying to move towards making Darien more bike friendly, including bike signage, bike lanes. I have a petition going. I'm actually going to head off here this meeting in 30 minutes because I have to go to a Board of Selectmen meeting, but we have we might have an ally in our quest, and I think that would benefit Norwalk and Darien together. So I just wanted to share that. Sorry, I don't know if I went over my time limit, but that's it.
Thank you so much, Kate. I'll open it up to our commissioners to respond. And I see Becca, you have your hand raised, so I'll let you start.
What is the nonprofit you referred to, Depot? What is that?
Oh, so the Darien Depot is a nonprofit in Darien that rolls out a bunch of different courses to middle school and high schoolers. It's considered a safe space for kids to gather to talk about any issues that they may have. They also offer activities for kids. Like, for example, they're doing like a laser tag for fourth and fifth graders in the next week or so. I actually don't know that much about it. This is my first sort of interaction with them, but it's incredible. It's called the Darien Depot. You could probably Google it and find their website online, but they're right off of exit 10 on 95.
Cool. I wonder if an equivalent organization exists in Norwalk, because it sounds like what it takes to make this happen is a public-private partnership. It's not the city alone or the town alone in your case.
100%. The town has refused to help support or even participate because they're concerned about liability issues, which is, I mean,
meaning like cyclist deaths.
they're worried that if someone gets hurt, they're going to be sued. But from my perspective, it's kind of like the argument of abstinence, like, oh,
Yeah,
well, let's not teach anybody safe
so
sex because no one's going to have sex.
hurt.
And then we'll get sued if someone gets pregnant. I mean, it's like the logic, I don't really follow it, but anyway, so.
So then are you, because your organization then is also a 501c3, so you're completely independent of your municipality.
So Darien Depot, I have no connection to. I am my own individual leading the bike safety courses with the Darien Depot. The Darien Depot is a non-for-profit 501c3. I have started my own LLC called Ride On, trying to sort of highlight how to get these trainings out to groups in a more concerted and collaborative effort. It seems like there's a big gap here between knowledge transferring to children who need it and also towns and schools that can maybe help support our kids better for being safe on the roads.
Definitely, I agree completely. So it sounds like, just to understand clearly, it's entirely a private effort.
The Darien, so the bike safety trainings are entirely run by the Darien Depot, the nonprofit effort, and it's completely separate from the municipality. Yes.
Yes, because we are a part of the municipality here, so I wonder how that will work if we try to implement it. I'm not saying we shouldn't try, but we are an arm of the city of Norwalk, so
Yeah.
And one other thing I want to add to that point, Becca, and it's a very good one. And Kate, I totally understand with the liability issues, especially doing events here with the city, having our own bike valet service. We actually have on our agenda tonight, if you're around we're going to talk about our e-bike safety seminar that we kicked off today with the Norwalk Police Department. So I'm really excited to do something similar to what you're doing with Chaz Foster, who I think I introduced you to via email, but I'm so glad to hear you're doing things like this in Darien, especially as we look to the greater connectivity between towns and our bike and walking infrastructure to connect us that way. So we're so grateful for you joining us tonight and sharing that. You said Ride On LLC is what you started, and you're working with the Darien Depot. And I didn't realize that was a nonprofit. I thought that was a store in Darien. So thank you for correcting me on that.
Yeah,
But
sure.
that's all really great to hear. Thank you. Any other questions from other commissioners or Greg or anyone else for Tori? Becca, was that all you had there?
yeah, that's it. I just wanted to get clarity on who, because if there are people making things happen, I want to know how to do what they're doing.
Definitely. No, it's really great to hear. And Kate, you are such an avid, supporter of what we're doing, and especially in Darien as we try and make that connection. So thank you for joining us tonight with the time you have. And then I think, I owe you some follow-ups too. So we're still, we'll stay connected, and however we can support Ride On LLC, please keep us in mind.
Totally. Thanks for all you guys do. It's awesome.
Excellent. Okay, I see we have some other members of the public joining us tonight. If anyone else would like to share anything. Oh, and welcome, Manny. I see you've joined us as well. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have anything to share from the public. Okay, then with that, we will move on to our next agenda item, which is the acceptance of the minutes. So I believe all our commissioners received our September 8th meeting minutes. Can I entertain a motion to approve the minutes? Manny, thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you, Nick. All in favor? Okay. Thank you, Becca. Also unanimously approved. Okay, moving on to old business. The Bike Pedestrian Master Plan. For context, for those joining us tonight who may not have been at last meeting, we've been talking about the opportunity to improve and update our 2012 Bike Pedestrian Master Plan. When Jody Trendler joined us a couple meetings ago, we talked about reinvigorating that opportunity to update it. I know Tanner Thompson, previous chair and commission member, has been working on it. And so I will hand this off to Becca to talk more about that as she's taking the lead on this.
Okay, slowly but surely. I am on page 74 of the 96-page document. I'm finding it very educational just to work through and to understand the different things that are going on within it. I'm just scanning through my notes here. I'm noticing a lot of the implementation detail that is covered in this 2012 plan also feels now made redundant in the complete streets design guide. So it'll be interesting to coordinate with those people and see what is going on there. But my main sort of deliverable, let me pull it up on my end and then see about iPad screen sharing. So Tanner has on previous occasions shown the document that he worked up from this 2012 master plan, which was basically giving everything a score based on its accessibility. There we go. Share screen, Google Drive. Thank you all for your patience. Oh, it's making me sign into Zoom. All right, never mind then. Share. So here we have what Tanner had done, which is beginning to sort of take notes on what improvements were asked for and then just single-handedly audit whether they've been done, which I found really helpful, but not specific to these tier 1 corridors. So what I've begun is compiling it into this, which is, every single individual line item that the 2012 guide requests. For example, at Richards Avenue, between CT Avenue and Scribner, they request a crosswalk here, a sidewalk here, bike lanes here. And I'm wondering, Greg, does this sort of, because the master plan is great, but it's paragraphs, it's words, and what we need is a checklist, right? And I'm wondering if this exists in some sort of official paperwork, or if it makes sense for me to keep going for us to then be able to audit our progress thus far in support of figuring out what has improved and what hasn't, and making the case for a new bike ped master plan, since this one predates the existence of this very commission.
Right. So yeah, I mean, we obviously refer to the bike ped plan, especially for new projects, and especially if we are going after grants, so that it is referenced somewhere and has support from the public, and it was highlighted, which certainly helps. As far as like a checklist, like whether or not they've gone in, it does not. So that might be something that, for the next revision of the bike ped plan, something that's incorporated and like a breakdown of each individual improvement that goes into each corridor. So maybe there's a different way of doing it, because there is a lot of different components that go into just one street, as opposed to just itemizing it one by one. Whether it's ramps, whether it's signage, whether it's bike lanes, whether it's crosswalks, whether it's traffic calming implementation, so whatever that may be. So that might be something that we may want to look at for the next revision.
Great. So is there a more helpful way that I can be compiling this data than the way I'm doing it in this Google sheet? Or is this this is what we need to know, right? And then I need to go through and find out what's done, what's not done.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to take a look at it, and I don't know if I could, just looking at your screen share, just see. But I mean, it, looks like you've broken it up. You got crosswalk, sidewalk apps, so that's definitely easier to look at, rather than just seeing an image and just seeing 4 or 5 different sidewalks, crosswalks, whatever, what have you, that needs to be incorporated into one stretch of road.
Yeah, because we need to know what has and hasn't been done, because we're going to have different tier 1 corridors in a new study, right? So
correct. Yeah.
Presumably, and because priorities have changed, right? Our feelings about sharrows have changed. Our feelings about the existence of a bike task force is what they call it in the guide. That has changed. But I'm totally with you, because it's become apparent to me that because we are still beholden to this plan from 2012, when our demographics have changed, our priorities have changed, what we consider safe facilities has evolved. And
right.
As this is our main grant getting mechanism, it feels right to know what we've done and then what we can keep doing. So that's my update. As you can see, I've got 4 of the however many tier 1 corridors done. So I'm going to keep chugging away at it.
Thank you so much, Becca.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners, or I guess even members of the public, with comments on the 2012 master plan or pedestrian bike cycle master plan?
I had a question about the audit piece. I noticed a document with the list on it. Was that something that Becca would want help with like if certain commissioners took turns at like, taking one part of the street section and then checking it off, or I don't know. I was just curious
I
about.
could definitely use help with the actual surveying part. I think I'm happy to continue compiling the data because I can get like a street done per Metro North commute, you know. But as far as the going out and going over to Richards and saying, oh, is there a this there? Like for example, like Richards is a great example because they recommend a crosswalk at Cedar, but now we're talking about a rotary at Cedar because this document is 13 years old. So our ideas have changed and our thoughts have changed. But yes, if people want to start doing the check boxes on the streets that I have made shopping lists for, that would be very helpful.
I had two ideas very quickly, Manny. Sorry. I wanted to, hi, Penelope, say two things. Would it be in our best interest to reach out to our subscribers and interested volunteers to elicit help in that audit surveying piece? And then two, Greg, I know Nell is actively working on and may be close to finishing the sidewalk audit. Would we be able to connect with Nell maybe as a support in this ongoing effort for that kind of missing piece?
Because if there's some of this she's already done, then I could just copy over where she tells me sidewalks are. That would save a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're definitely going through and updating because we've been doing a lot of sidewalks this year and over the last few years as well. So I know we're updating that piece because the audit was collected probably 3 or 4 years ago now at this point. So we're constantly going through and updated, and the same thing with our facilities, with our bike facilities as well. So we'll have to check in to see what the status is with that, and see if she could be a resource to provide you with a little bit of a head start, and how we can organize it and run this in tandem as well, because we're trying to do a better job keeping a better inventory as well of what we have and when we updated, whether it's a new sidewalk or when we striped a bike lane, for instance. So
yeah, it's hard to make living documents when we're time stamped in grants.
Yeah. So that's something we definitely could run in parallel with one another.
Great. Teamwork.
And then I did see one other thing, Manny, before I give it back to you. We had a public comment hand raised, but it went away. Christina, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add there. If so, raise your hand. If not, I'll hand it back to Manny. Oh, okay, perfect. I see your hands raised. Go ahead.
Hey, it sort of got answered already, but I just wanted to clear it up. I was going to offer to help with the surveying to help with Becca's data, but if you guys want to send something out to all of us, I'll reply there.
Perfect. I think that's a great ask, and thank you for volunteering and raising your hand. That's perfect. Manny, what were you going to say?
No,
If anything else.
no, not really. I just was gonna say, I'd be happy to help out in whatever capacity I can with if there's a section that needs a survey checklist, that sort of thing. And also like what the deadline is for completing the checklist survey.
That's a good question. I don't know that I have one because I'm working in my very limited pockets of personal time outside of, work and this volunteer effort and my life. But I'm trying to sort of set a goal for myself of having a serious deliverable. I guess what we learned is that our mayoral inaugurations and our new common council begins immediately following the elections. So I want to have I'm trying to set myself some sort of like big deadline of the election, whether it's I have the checklist ready to go or we've audited half of it or something like that. I'm sort of open to what people think is reasonable. Like if we can send our volunteers forth maybe following the next meeting.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the time of year to do it before it gets into winter is like pretty prime right now. I want to say, especially with the, perfect biking, walking weather. But I also agree. I don't know if we have a set timeline. I know maybe it was on our strategic plan for this year. I might have stricken it, knowing that, it may not have been something to accomplish this year, but looking forward, I'm happy to still make it a priority though, even with all that said.
I mean, it's in our mandate to review and revise it. So I think we're doing that and we're sort of laying the groundwork if we are going to make the case that a new plan is warranted. There's still some groundwork to lay. Because that's if I'm not mistaken, that's a case to be made to the incoming administration.
Definitely. Well, so then in terms of next steps, let's work together to reach out to our volunteer base and see if we can get some help in that audit and surveying. And then I know we're going to schedule another quarterly meeting with TMP. If we can come, with the data we found, we could probably fill in the gaps with their team as well and create a more formal layout of next steps and how to keep this moving. But thank you, Becca, for all the work you've done so far. And however I can support you, and Manny, I know you've offered to support. We'll keep this moving.
Totally. I'll keep, and like I said, I started I wanted to have read through the whole document, and now I can go back. I mean, as we saw, let me just look at my sheet on my own. I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are 16 tier 1 corridors, and I have shopping listed 4 of them. So that's 25%, So if people I'll share this document with the bike. Emily, you appear to already be on it, but I'll put Norwalk Bike Walk on it. And if people want to go out and do those 4 corridors, have at it.
Perfect.
And I'll try to get you some more in the Google Doc.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Becca. Okay. With that, I will move on to our next agenda item here, which is the e-bike safety seminar with the Norwalk Police Department. I'm happy to say that we met with Lieutenant Tom today and Chaz Foster from the Sound Cyclist Groups to kick off the conversation about hosting an e-bike safety seminar here in Norwalk. As Kate mentioned, Kate Havoc mentioned earlier, we've noticed that surrounding towns have been hosting e-bike safety workshops and seminars, especially with the rise of more e-bikes on the streets, especially with the laws that just went into effect October 1st. We felt it would be important, especially not only for cyclists on the road, but also drivers and other people using these roadways, whether you're driving, walking, or biking, or on an e-bike or scooter, to have a safety seminar to answer questions, to review the new laws in effect, to talk about the infrastructure going in Norwalk with the bike lanes, the sharrows, the green bike lanes, all of that come together. So we had a really productive kickoff meeting, and I'm happy to share that we're working towards an initial kind of webinar online, and from there turning it into workshops. So we're hoping to schedule another time and involve Jalea from Norwalk Health Department and Nuvance Health. I know Brianna has moved on to another position, so congrats to her, but she connected us with someone else from her department, which is the trauma response within Nuvance, to come and talk about prevention and safety pieces like that. But we got the conversation started, and we're hoping to, as the Bike Walk Commission, in partnership as well with TMP, to talk about the infrastructure, the issues that the police department are running into around here. Sorry, let me pull up my notes here, around like infractions, warnings, tickets, and what happens if these e-bike cyclists are not 16. As the law that went into effect, you have to have a driver's license, a valid driver's license if you're riding an e-bike. So we'll talk about all these new changes and implementations here in the city, things like that. But this was just the kickoff conversation, and we're hoping to broaden our engagement and partnerships for this seminar. We're hoping to plan it for some time in the next few weeks, but I'm excited to share that we've been making some good strides forward. I know that was a lot. Any questions or comments from commissioners about this opportunity?
Yeah, I'd like to know at what level you have Norwalk Public Schools engaged with this.
That's a great question. So my hope is to engage, especially with Bike Walk Road to School coming up. And I know Manny's going to talk about that in a little bit. definitely to have them circulate the opportunity for this, especially focusing on our audience of parents of kids riding bikes and e-bikes. So we talked about having them circulate through their newsletters, each school, to have the opportunity to join this online session. So with Bike Walk Roll to School coming up, I'm hoping to, when we do table at these events, have something ready to go to say, hey, you know, the Bike Walk Commission and the police department were together hosting an online safety seminar. Here's, you know, more information to come, but here's how you can sign up to learn more. So it's a really good thought, and we are working to make sure that we give this opportunity to the public schools. And I think Charles also mentioned mom groups around Norwalk too, making sure that we engage with them. But the target audience for this seminar would be parents of kids that are on e-bikes. I do see we have a comment from the public here. Oh, it's Kate Havoc. You're still here.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to share that the Darien Depot applied for a micro grant from the Connecticut DOT and received it. They said it was pretty seamless and smooth, and we were able to give free helmets to kids for the first 100 participants. It might be something as an incentive if you think about rolling out to the public schools that you would want to do as well. And the other thing I would just add is that when you're talking with the police department, one of the things that we've found here in Darien is that, as we're all familiar, it's not always cyclists or bikers who are at fault. It's drivers who don't understand that they are responsible for 3 feet passing and all the rules that go along with it. And that's one of the things our police department, I'm trying to get them to work on messaging out from their sort of public platforms that this is a driver training responsibility as well. And I just wanted to share that in case it would be valuable or helpful for you all too.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because actually we do, as a commission, we did apply for a micro grant last year and we're able to get helmets from that. So we do have an inventory of resources, educational materials, safety gear that we can contribute to this as the Bike Walk Commission. And you know, we're looking to do that again. So it's a great program, and I'm so glad to hear that the Darien Depot was able to apply and get those resources as well. And then, yeah, just like you were saying too, with the police department, you know, Lieutenant Tom had some really good input on what, you know, their priorities were and what they were seeing firsthand as police officers. And a lot of the time it was questions of what even constitutes an e-bike. And, you know, if it's a bike or a motorcycle, again, like it's really clarifying to parents, like, sure, you can buy these things online for $500, but it's, you know, that's more than an e-bike. If it's class 3, you know, there's certain legalities now in effect that prohibit, you know, kids from riding these things. And especially when it's kids without helmets, you know, that's why we really want to involve the health department, New Vance, to really talk about, at these speeds, at these levels, like the damage it can cause if you're not following those safety guidelines. So thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear you're doing that in Darien as well. Commissioners, or any other public comment about the e-bike safety seminar that we're planning? Okay. Then with that, I will move us on to new business. And our first item here, the educational subcommittee. I will hand this off to Manny. I know he's been orchestrating and planning a lot of Bike Walk Roll, but also reinvigorated our little subcommittee. So go ahead, Manny.
Thanks, Emily. So one of the things that's coming up for us is Bike Walk and Roll in Norwalk, and Emily, Jalea, and I, and a couple of other key stakeholders, I'd say, met with people from the school district. And so we've solidified that there's going to be 2 bike walk and rolls that are already planned. One of them is happening on Wednesday at 8:15 a.m. The next one is happening at Cranberry on the 17th of October. at 8 a.m., I believe. And we're still trying to determine, or at least Joanna, the transportation director at the school district is trying to determine Sono and I believe Wolf Pit are the two other schools that we were thinking of also doing a bike walk and roll at. And so those are still yet to be determined dates for those two. But so there's one coming up Wednesday. And I am trying to coordinate with Yankee Doodle Garage to be able to get access to supplies tomorrow in order to either drop them off on Wednesday or hand them over to any commissioners who might be attending. And so that's where the plan is there. I was hoping to attend fill in the blanks this weekend, but unfortunately I have to be out of town, so I'm not going to be able to be there. But then yeah, so right now it's trying to get some stuff going with bike walk and roll and that sort of thing. I think that's one of the main focus for this month at least, and then kind of trying to keep it going to figure out some other things with the education subcommittee.
Perfect.
Anything,
Thank you, Manny. Yeah.
Anybody else, Jalea, if you want to contribute anything else that I might have?
No, Manny, I think you pretty much captured everything.
Thank you. Yeah. So I know the official bike walk roll to school day is the 8th, but like you mentioned, Manny, we're coordinating with Joanna and Jill to do in-person, tabling and events and incentives to walk bike roll to school next week. So I think we have our subcommittee meeting tomorrow. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yes, that's correct. At 10 a.m. tomorrow or 11 a.m. Let me look at my calendar. It's at 11 a.m. We're meeting tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Perfect. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing on that. I'm excited to see this, go again this year. And I think since we last met, we now have 11 schools registered, which is really exciting. So we're hoping to see, continued participation from Norwalk Public Schools, especially the elementary schools. And I think recently I saw too, West Rocks has all these beautiful new sidewalks coming in and going in. And actually TMP, Greg, you'll talk about that in a minute, but it's really exciting to see all the safe routes to school programming and planning come to life, and now we can use them annually in this event, or every day, but celebrate them annually at this event. Okay. Any comments from other commissioners, questions, or members of the public? Oh, Becca, go ahead.
I'm just curious because you sort of inspired me. If there's any incentive for us to sort of create, because I think education is sort of our only subcommittee. Like, is the stuff that I'm working on like something that should be a subcommittee or a working group? I guess food for thought for the next meeting.
Yeah, no, I definitely, we can absolutely talk more about that. We have opportunities for comment at the end of our meeting, but if that's something you want to incentivize, well, I don't know if incentivize is the right word, but initiate, I'm absolutely open to that.
Potentially, just because it's a chance to the way that you all work with Julia, that's a connection to the health department. Perhaps it's something I could bring in the sustainability department on.
Oh yeah. Oh, with Jody
let me work on
that. Good idea. I love it. Any other comments, questions? Okay. Moving on then. So the next item of business we have here is roundabouts, informational programming. Greg, I'm hoping I'll hand this off to you to kick off and just talk more about the roundabout meeting that happened recently. And there's 3 different roundabouts in development here in Norwalk. So I'll hand it off to you to talk more about that.
Yeah, no. So as you all aware, we had the public meeting last week for the installation of planning 3 roundabouts in the city, and we kicked the one off for the Richards Avenue West Sears Street for a public meeting, which was very preliminary and very early on in the process to get the public's input, and just looking at on a broader scale, since we are, planning the install of these 3 modern roundabouts, we don't have any of those currently in Norwalk. They are becoming more popular in the state of Connecticut, but it is something new for a lot of residents, and they may not be as aware of the roundabouts and the benefits that they carry, and why they're being incorporated not only in Connecticut and in Norwalk, but also across the country. And then they're, becoming more and more popular. So I just, wanted to talk with the commission about, potentially with the subcommittee, the education subcommittee, about, utilizing some great resources that, that we, there's a lot of information out there on the benefits of roundabouts, and not only from, vehicular safety, but also for bicycle and pedestrians as well. So just wanted to, get the commission to, get you more involved, and, probably help get the word out to residents, especially as you're out, at events and tabling, and, there you may be receiving questions from the public. So wanted to get you all out there at the forefront to assist with any questions that the public may have about roundabouts.
Is there literature that we can acquire that, like for instance, if we're tabling somewhere that we can, share information about roundabout?
Yeah. Absolutely. We have plenty of information that we can share. It's not from us. It's FHWA. It's, other municipalities across the country. So it's not something that we're just pulling out of the sky. This is all data backed, benefits of roundabouts and a safety component that's attached to it.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, basically the same question. I was going to say, help us out, give us social media content, give us talking points, and I think we're all about it, because I was just pulling up our ordinances, and this very much feels, promote complete streets programs, provided bike and implementation of transit, right? Coordinate public awareness campaigns.
Yeah, and it's no different. We talk about, bike facilities and, green pavement markings and red pavement markings for transit stops, and, crosswalks and signage and whatnot. So this all falls within the education of, helping the public, understand, how to navigate these. It is a newer trend, and it's not something that we've incorporated into Norwalk as of yet. And it is new, and people may be familiar if they went to another state and driven through, or another city in Connecticut or whatnot. So it's something new, and people may have a lot of questions about it. So it's really just, getting the word out and just educating the benefits of roundabouts. So we, having that extension of the city, which you all are, and providing that education to the residents is something that's very important.
Totally. And I mean, I think it's coming from some civilians too. Perhaps you saw the op-ed in Nancy on Norwalk a few weeks ago.
Yeah, we did.
So I think there's civilian support too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's a mixed bag, but I think it's changed. It's new. I think, just people understanding what that change is and seeing the benefits of it, especially coming from you all, certainly, would mean a lot, because I think it's not something that we're just pulling out of the sky. This is,
this is data back. Help us help you. Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Greg, I guess. Oh, Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just trying to also think of like our next tabling event that's not like at a school, where we can, where we would be able to share this information as well. Like I was thinking even at a place like Fill in the Blanks, usually we're passing out. Okay. Usually, sorry, I'm just really distracted at this point. But anyway, so usually, at Fill in the Blanks, we pass out some stuff, and we just do like some of the literature we have. But if there was like an intentional, like, this is a place where we can share about, give out a flyer, or if there's maps, right, that we can show people, like. And I was thinking, like, I don't know if there's any, I know the festival season's wrapping up or on its way out, and so, but if there's anything else that's coming up down the pipeline, if you guys were able to provide like a map of like where some of the roundabouts are happening, and we can just show people,
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's three locations and we can share that. And, as far as like providing document, backing information like Watch For Me CT, which has a lot of great content. We have a lot of information from there on the benefits of roundabouts that the Watch For Me CT campaign program has. And so there's plenty of documentation that we can provide.
Great.
The
I want to
upcoming
definitely.
Halloween activities might be a chance to get that information to some people, especially if people are going to be walking in the streets and enjoying walking in the streets.
Mhm.
And you can be like, hey, what's going to make the streets safer? A roundabout.
Definitely. Oh, Christina, I see you have your hand raised. Go ahead. Oh, maybe not. Okay. I just wanted to quickly add, Greg, there was, the West Norwalk residents that I don't know if it was an open house, but I did see some of the comments from some of the public, and I do think it's a great opportunity to share, the extent that TMP, prepares and does studies and for these specific construction plans. I know part of it is like we've talked about, like the educational opportunity. This is new to Norwalk. It's not something we've seen before, and in some of these areas, it's a little. I don't even know what the right word would be, but I wonder if it's questions around, the narrowing of the roads, what it means to merge. Um, it's not that we're merging, but we're having, all modes of transportation involved in this planning. You mentioned there's studies, there's evidence from other places that we can pull from and reference to, but in terms of this specific construction and how we can best direct members of the public to get more information? Is it something where there's some web page on TMP that has it, or can we put together references and guides to that sort of information? Like if it is around, someone interested in learning more about what it would affect in their neighborhood, what's a good place to point them, I guess?
Well, I mean, each roundabout will have its unique to its own area. Based on the number of roads that are intersecting, like the one in South Norwalk. At the South Norwalk School is much different than the one up in West Norwalk. Richards at West Cedar. We have a lot of work to do on our end as well. We're going to do a lot more. We're going to update the web page for the West Cedar Richards Avenue. We're going to be putting up a lot more data, and this was very early on in the process. So they were only showed a conceptual design to the public and wanted to get their input. So we, based on the results of the meeting, we wanted to give the public what they want, and we're going to move forward with providing more documentation and more data specific to that intersection. And then we'll look to incorporate those comments, and we'll do another public meeting at a later date. But the project webpage, it's up on the TMP website, so we'll be updating that, and we'll make sure that everyone is up to speed once that is updated. But there's certainly we'll also put a lot of resources on there, whether it's FHWA or Watch For Me CT. We'll definitely for just general benefits of roundabouts as well over the traditional signalized intersections. So we'll update, and we can point people to that website as soon as it's updated accordingly, based on the results of the last meeting.
Great, thank you.
Greg, I love debunking 5 roundabout myths. I'm looking at that right now. That's a great one. We could we could make those into, that's 5 Instagram posts right there. Like we could do that.
Yeah. And I think, there were also concerns about bikes and pedestrians and how to navigate. And, I don't think, when you look at roundabouts and, with the refuge islands, you're really only crossing one lane at a time. And for one direction, you're not crossing, 2-3 lanes in 2 different directions. So it's just items such as that on a high level that, that I think just from an education perspective can really help the public understand how roundabouts are different than a traditional signalized intersection.
Great. Any other questions or comments for Greg on this subject? Okay. So we will, yeah, continue to share what we have about roundabouts, but moving on to our next agenda item here, TMP project updates, which I will leave it with you, Greg, sidewalks, and then the West Avenue milling and paving. Oh, sorry, sidewalks for the status of West Rock, excuse me.
Yeah, so right now we have, a lot of active projects going on right now. West Rocks Road obviously is one of the larger ones. We had a groundbreaking last week, but we already had started construction at early September. So it's been underway for about a month now. That's being taken place from the Merritt Parkway up to Creeping Hemlock. And then, the contractor will continue to work as long as they can until the winter doesn't allow us to, and then they'll be back again in early spring to continue construction and by the summer be completed. And that would be a 2-mile stretch of sidewalks on West Rocks, and that also will include 3 raised crosswalks, also flashing beacons for pedestrians as well, specifically in the areas of the All Saints School and West Rocks Middle School, and also reduce speeding along the corridor as we've seen some excessive speeds in the area. So we're excited to have that one completed. We're also continuing the sidewalk work on Adams Avenue and Ward Street as well, which provides access to West Rocks Middle School and for Tracy School as well. So those are additional projects, and that one continues. Obviously we have the East Wall Street Phase 1 project, which continues to be under construction. Hospital Hill, that's coming along very nicely. That's near completion. They just recently paved, and we installed the new thermoplastic crosswalks last week. So that's moving forward. And then not only TMP, but also Public Works is also doing a lot of great work with their sidewalk projects as part of the paving program. Flax Hill Road, that continues to move along. A lot of new sidewalks on both sides of Flax Hill. Grumman Avenue is near completion as well, which is another great corridor that's been worked on. So that, Beacon Street, those sidewalks are completed right behind City Hall. So there's a lot of great sidewalk projects going in. And, talking last week, at the groundbreaking, I think this is definitely going to be the longest amount of sidewalks we've put in lengthwise for the city of Norwalk. I think we're almost up to 11 miles of sidewalk that will go in this year between TMP, DPW, and along with other standalone projects as well. So it's very exciting. The work that's been done this year. A lot of concrete and asphalt being poured this year.
Great job. Just saying.
Yeah, applause to that. That's amazing. I think, and not to boast too much because I don't know if it's certain or not, but I think this year, am I correct in saying this, Greg, that the city of Norwalk has built together cumulatively more sidewalks this year than any year before?
Yes. Yeah, this will be the most sidewalks between, definitely, but, collectively between all departments, the most amount of sidewalks and length.
It's really great to hear that. And yeah, thank you for all the work you're doing. It's really great to see. And I mentioned to Greg earlier, I've been going up and down Flax Hill to get across, and the sidewalks going in look beautiful. And it's so great to see, not only it's on both sides, but it's really come a long way. So thank you again. I know that's a collaborative effort, but it's really great to see.
Yeah, no, it's been quite the process to get to this point this year. So hopefully we finish the year strong and get these projects wrapped up.
Okay. I guess with that too, Greg, I know we'll speak more about scheduling our quarterly meeting with TMP. As you mentioned, you have a bunch of projects going on, and that's really just scratching the surface. So we're looking forward to, as the Bike Walk Commission, scheduling a quarterly meeting to get a deeper dive into all the projects you have going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're making our final push now with the weather. Well, I mean, the weather's still on our side right now, but that could change any day. So we want to take advantage and work as long as we can.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments for Greg from our team or from the public? Okay. Moving along, The last items here are for discussion. The department partner reports, TMP, if you have anything else, great, go ahead. But other than that, I would hand it off to Jalea with the health department. If you have anything
So
you
I,
want to add to the meeting. Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to talk about West Avenue, real quick.
Oh,
I didn't touch on that. So
sorry.
my bad. You did tee that up for me and I forgot to mention it.
No,
Uh,
I'm sorry. Go
So West Avenue, is part of the paving program. So Public Works is, I don't know if you've seen, but they removed all the existing brick paver crosswalks and they're prepping the road to mill and pave, between Maple Street and Wall Street. It's obviously much needed along West Avenue and it's been on the books for some time to be repaved. But this year is the year that we were able to get to it. Keep in mind, it is just a mill and pave. So from a retrofit perspective, without moving any curbs or anything, we're looking to replace the existing brick paver crosswalks with the preformed thermoplastic cross brick paver like crosswalks where it will look like brick pavers, but obviously, it has the look, but not the maintenance or the cost that's associated with brick pavers. And it's a great product. It's retro reflective. It lasts the lifetime of the pavement. So all those crosswalks will be going in. We also added an additional few crosswalks along the corridor to complete all legs of the intersection. You had some intersections where you only had 2 out of the 3 legs with crossings. So we were able to coordinate with the Public Works Department and have the contractor include some additional handicap ramps, and also worked with our signals team as well to incorporate the push button pedestrian signal as part of the new crosswalk addition. So it's really been a collaborative team effort between multiple departments, getting this work in. And then, by the end of this week, the road will be milled and it will be paved. And as part of paving, we've also been working with the transit district, as they incorporated their new bus stops, and we're going to be tying that into our pavement marking plan as well, to have some dedicated transit stops along the way. And along with that, keeping obviously we're keeping the existing curb lines. We were able to do some, keep 4 lanes of travel, and also incorporate bi-directional bike lanes as well, along the corridor, this section of West Avenue, between Maple and Wall Street. On a longer term planning perspective, we do have the Reconnecting Communities grant. So that as part of that plan, we'll look at the corridor as a whole and look at how we can, relook, take a deeper dive into it and see how we can, look at that from a long-term planning perspective. But from a short-term retrofit perspective, we were able to get, bike lanes, able to, keep as much parking as possible, obviously. And actually, I think we were able to get even more on-street parking spots, but also keep the public transit, have some dedicated space for them, and coordinating with the transit district and getting the number of space, the stops that they have along the corridor as part of their new COA. So it's really been a collaborative effort between not only multiple departments within City Hall, but also external stakeholders as well. So we're excited to see this happen. And, by the end of the month, it should be fully completed with all new markings, new crosswalks, and look like a whole new street.
That's amazing to hear. And I did want to applaud you too. And sorry, I did skip over this, but West Ave, with everything going in there in apartments, it's so great to hear that we have that pedestrian, priority focus of having those crosswalks and the bi-directional bike lanes that you mentioned too. And even more so, the Norwalk River Valley Trail is parallel to West Ave. So you do have those opportunities to get off of West Ave. And I believe connectivity from the street and sidewalks all the way up to the trail itself now as well. So there's there is that accessibility standard that you're meeting by having that, on street to trail connectivity. So I'm really glad to see that. And I know it's
Correct.
about to be a lot more populated, fingers crossed, hopefully, with more people and foot traffic and cycling. So that's
And I'm
really
glad
great
you
work.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have to give it to Public Works because they also did the Berkeley Street area last year as well.
Mm,
with all the other intersecting roads such as Arch and Elm, where they
mhm.
did all new sidewalks in the area, and that will also be repaved. And they also worked on those connections to the NRVT from the sidewalk, so you can access the NRVT. Which, you know, I know when we're going through the design phase for the Berkeley area. We looked at, well, how do you get from the street to the NRVT, you know, without having to go
Mhm.
all the way around and make it accessible. You know, whether you're, you know, pushing a stroller or riding a bike or what have you, how do you get up there if you're on these streets? So it was, you know, worked closely with Public Works to make that happen, and, you know, had to coordinate with the state and also with our ADA coordinator as well within the city to make all that happen. So a lot of moving parts to this area. A lot of action going on, obviously, with the new developments and with the paving. Um, but it's starting to come together now, and I think will see the results. You know, especially once it's all completed.
I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Um, any other questions or comments from the public or commissioners for Greg on the West Avenue project?
No.
Okay, perfect. Then moving on to our last agenda item here, discussion. Greg, anything else you want to add for TMP?
No, I think I spoke enough. We can talk more in the quarterly meeting, but just wanted to keep you all aware of what's going on as we make this kind of final push, you know, into the end of the season this year.
Excellent. And then Julia, anything from the health department?
No, I don't have anything. Our NRVT walks have kind of come to an end for now, as of right now. We are doing some walks with CT State Norwalk. I'm happy to send you the schedule, Emily, because I did receive the flyer finally. So I don't know if you want to send it out to folks. And it is on our website, I believe. If it's not, I can update it. But that's pretty much it.
Thank you for doing that. Yes, we're happy to circulate that on our end too, through our email subscribers and through social. Thank you for putting those together and doing that.
Thank you, Emily.
Great. And then I don't think we have any other. Oh, Manny, go ahead.
This is a little off the cuff, but I kind of wanted to hear from Greg about the cemetery project. And, you know, I know there's been a lot of discussion about the tree, and I know that's kind of been put on hold, but in general, like, you know, I walk down that pathway often, and I can see they're working on the sidewalk and they're reconfiguring parts of it, but I just wanted to get the TMP take on Cemetery Avenue.
So the development is kind of separate. That's, you know, that's part of the development. It's part of a, you know, zoning approval that they need to work on. And then there's also, you know, you have the component for the walk bridge as well, which includes kind of the rest of it, which obviously the two are tying in together. But there's also a drainage, you know, component that's also tied to it because of the lowering of East Avenue, so that they can access, so that they can get, you know, the new drainage pipe, you know, going towards Mill Pond there, and tying into the existing box culvert that's there. So the development at Cemetery Street is kind of a separate entity, and it's part of a zoning approval.
Cool, thank you. I had, the only question I had was like, and maybe this, you kind of made me think about it, but what is, I forgot what that is that, what street, is that East Avenue that like intersects with Cemetery? Like,
So you have East
Right,
Avenue on one
actually-
side and Gregory Boulevard that comes up the other way.
yeah, like East Avenue goes into like it goes into where like Ashley's, right, is.
Oh, that's Van Zant. So that's Route
Van Zant?
136, Van Zant. Yep.
I know there's Van Zant, but then there's like the other one. I was curious, like, if there's a plan, like what I'm curious what that's gonna look like for like connecting the sidewalk across the street into where Ashley's is at. Because when I was walking recently, I noticed that there's no like, they still haven't cut like a ramp for pedestrians there. So I was just curious if even maybe it's not there yet, or maybe it's not part of the, maybe it's gonna be pushed down further down the street.
We
So I was
can,
curious.
we can talk about it at maybe in the next meeting. You know, maybe
Perfect.
we can talk about it more in depth. I wasn't really prepared for it, so.
No, that's
maybe
fine. I know it's a little off the cuff, but in case you just
Yeah.
happen to be like, I know exactly about what you're, I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. This way we can, we can put it on the agenda. We can talk about it for next meeting.
Right. Becca, go ahead.
I would definitely support adding Cemetery Street to the next meeting so we can discuss it with preparation, because it's an area that I frequent as a pedestrian all the time because I live off I'm directly off the cemetery. So my struggles to go get my ice cream, as a pedestrian abound. But the question that I had for us to dive into next time, Emily, is something that I found in our bylaws, which has to do with the people who should be serving ex officio on this committee. It says we should have the Chief of Economic and Community Development, Chief of Operations and Public Works, Director of the Health Department. We have a Health Department representation, Executive Director of the Redevelopment Agency, Police Chief, and the Transportation Planner. We've got one of those. Should each serve ex officio without a vote. And I wonder what we could do to reach out to those organizations to remind them that it's part of their mandate to support the Bike Walk Commission too, and send someone to our meetings. Because as Greg has alluded to in his update, this is such a collaborative effort. It's TMP, it's Public Works, it's planning and zoning, it's everybody to get this stuff done. And if everybody's not coming to our table, then we're not set up to succeed. And also the work of supporting us from the city angle falls disproportionately onto one department, TMP, when we should be a shared burden.
I don't know how I feel about being a shared burden, but I mean, it's a very good point, and I know we're still actively engaging with all those departments. I don't know, the criticalness of their attendance to these, out of work hours meetings. And again, I'm so grateful for the people we do get to join when they are able to join. But Greg, were you going to add something? I appreciate your point, Becca, and I would love to. But I've used this word too many times tonight, and I hate to use it again, reinvigorate our relationships with these other departments. But I think it's a really good point overall. But Greg,
I agree completely, because if it's in our ordinance, then it's their job to show up.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, and I understand where you're reading it from, and that's why I'm here, and when Jim's available to come, just keep in mind a lot of the representation. We have all these other commissions and committees, and some people already have 2-3 meetings a week that they have to be in attendance to from other departments as well. So I'm here to kind of work with those other departments, that anything that does come up. I know previously Tanner had always wanted representation from every department at meetings, just as you read, Becca. But that's why I'm here, and if there are questions, I can certainly go to them and bring them in as well. So it's not that they don't want to be here. That's why I'm here, to kind of act as that liaison to other departments, and to work with them on anything. We as far as like Public Works is concerned, we work very closely with them on all their projects. They work with us, on our projects as well, where we go hand in hand. We have bi-weekly meetings with them. Planning and zoning, we constantly meet over the future developments and go over, upcoming developments and what's on the docket and what's expected as part of the development. So we're always closely involved with other departments. So we're trying not to operate in silos. We're trying to coordinate together on everything that we can, especially work within the right of way as well. So everything has the best interest in mind, on the commission. But we are involved with multiple departments at one time and coordinating with them.
Totally. I don't doubt any of that. And in fact, I meant to sort of to lift up your invisible labor, rather than beleaguer it. I wonder then, what would your opinion be on, for us to feel better about having connectivity with those groups? Perhaps, like, should we also have attempt a quarterly meeting with DPW? Should we attempt a quarterly meeting with the police chief or the RDA, or just make sure we're blasting our minutes to them and getting their comments back? I want to get them involved.
I think this might be a great discussion, maybe for our quarterly meeting.
That sounds good.
When we meet, and maybe something that we can sit with Jim and maybe Garrett even as well, and we can collectively come up with something that maybe it's not monthly, but at least, we could discuss it more and see what it can make everyone feel comfortable. But just keep in mind, we do meet with DPW, we stay coordinated on a lot of different projects. I can't even count how many different projects I'm involved with them right now on for the future and ongoing as well. So there's always constant communication and coordination on things between us. So, but yeah, let's talk about it in our quarterly meeting.
That sounds good. It may then also be something to bring to the council if our bylaws need to change, to say, that we have one representative from the city government who forwards our things to the other, along to the requisite departments. Like, that's fine too. I just want to, as the self-appointed data girly of the Bike Walk Commission, I'm combing through fine print.
Understandably so.
Thank you, Becca. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you.
Okay. With that, I think that is everything, unless there are any last commissioner comments or members of the public with comments. Okay. With that, I'll entertain a motion to end tonight's meeting. Becca, thank you. Manny, thank you. All in favor? Thank you, Penelope. Thank you, everyone, for tonight. Have a great night, and we'll talk to you next month.
Thank you all.